people don't know how we got the Bible at all. We Westerners got the Bible thanks to the Catholic Church. And they took over the books of the Old Testament, which even by the time of Christ had not been finally decided upon by the Jews. The Jews did not close the canon of the Old Testament until the year 100 AD or thereabouts at the Synod of Jamnia. And then they finally decided which were the canonical books of the Hebrew Scriptures and embodied them in the Masoretic text, the earliest copy of which dates from the 10th century, early in the 10th century AD. The books to be included in the New Testament were not finally decided upon until the year 382 AD again, at the Synod of Rome under Pope Damasus. So it was the Church, the Catholic Church, that promulgated the Bible and said, we are giving you these scriptures on our authority and by the authority of the informal tradition that has existed among us from the beginning, inspired by the Holy Spirit. So you receive historically the Bible on the Church's say-so. And the Catholic Church insists, therefore, that the Church, collectively, speaking under the presumed guidance of the Holy Spirit, has the authority to interpret the Bible. And you can take that or leave it.
Okay.
Hindus.
Shalom Aleichem, Yisrael, Yehonthan, we with you here humbly so, on what they call the 13th of August, 2023, of the year of their Lord. That was Alan Watts. They made it all up. Chris is going to pick it up where he left off on the outro. Look up Alan Watts. They made it all up to hear the entire narrative. I think it's about 25 minutes, so obviously I'm not going to get it all in. But the brother is saying some deep stuff. Today's title, O Faithless Generation. Dore Bawgad. Dore Bawgad. O Faithless Generation. You see, you heard what the man was saying about Catholicism and how we went from slavery and chains to slavery of the mind. See, your little 100+ years in Egypt was just practice. What they did to us with heavy bondage in Egypt was just practice for what they put on us over here. After the Senta and Panther and all of them came over here. After the Apocalypto. And then we today don't even want to listen to a brother who gives you some deep wisdom that's outside of that KJNV. Because you're saying, hey, you're going to be a slave to something that's given to you by someone who doesn't look like you, someone who is not Hebrew. Y'all just took it down. And it's hard to get real truth now. I just got finished having to go ahead and put some more people in their place on social media this week. Man out there, naked up top, had jeans on and was showing his abs and pecs and whatever else you call him, and got seats on. And the man and people was arguing, saying, "Well, he ain't do nothing wrong. This, that, and the other." Showing the Bible where you say you cannot show all that. What is the first thing that Adam and Mother Hawa did after they saw they done messed up? What's the first thing they did? Went out and misclothed themselves. They covered themselves. They didn't do it properly, but they knew, hey, they looked at this and said, something wrong. What is the first thing Yahweh did when he caught up to them? He clothed them. He sacrificed an animal. He sacrificed a lamb and clothed them. Yeah, you're going to go on social media, have whole naked, so saying half naked, and with seats on, and going to defend it. We need truth. Now, Alan Watts talking about the Catholic Church. Yeah, we call it the Catholic Church, but it's really not the church. You realize that the Catholicism is really a nation? It's a nation. The church is just one of the slices of the piece of what they do. It's just a slice of what they do. It is a nation. Have you ever been to the Vatican? I have. I went to Rome. I went to the Vatican. And as a nation, it is the largest nation on earth. I bet you didn't know that. Y'all call it Catholic Church. It is a nation. And another deep information to give you, talking about the beast. It is a beastly rendition of Hebrewism. Yes, a beastly rendition of who you are, a Hebrew. That's what the face of the beast looks like. And it looks pretty. It doesn't look ugly. Everything about beast is all about the ruach, not about the physical look of it. So last week, and that's why I had to break down that word Haman. And the English has said they. Yahweh sure said they. Watch out for them, because Haman means to look out for them twice. Not once, but twice. The Hebrew word is Haman. And you know how they say. Whenever they say, you need to go and examine who they are. Not once, but twice. Talked about the true name of what you call Peter in that Catholic Holy Bible, sanctioned by King James. Call him Peter. His name was Shimon, and Yahweh sure renamed him Selah. He was born with the name Shimon, meaning hearing, but Yahweh sure renamed him Selah, which means stronghold. And Yahweh sure called himself Sore, boulder, so or rock, or foundation stone. He was using a play on words with who you call Peter being called Selah, and calling him, referencing to himself as Sore. Selah and Sore. So a stronghold, like the example I used last week, is if you was going on hiking and you slip down a cliff and you're falling to your death, but your backpack is caught on a protrusion from the rock, it saves your life. So you're dangling from your backpack that's around your shoulders, but your life was saved by Selah, a protrusion, a stronghold. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Now you pull yourself up, and you pull yourself up, and you get your leverage, and you get back onto the what? The sword, the rock, Yahweh Shua. Catholicism says they began that faith with Peter, a stronghold. And indeed has been a stronghold for many of you. You hold on by your life. But you cannot build a foundation on a stronghold like that. You build it on a solid foundation of Yahweh Shua. The wind comes and the rain comes down and is solid. Yahweh Shua says, on this foundation will he build his faith. On him. But his great show is a stronghold. To him, to Yahweh Shua. This is why he had that dream on the roof with the unkosher animals. He had it not once, not twice, but 3 times before he finally got it. He's looking on a horizontal level. No, I ain't eating that. I ain't never eat scrimps. Lobster ain't enough to catfish? No. Well, y'all sure wasn't talking about that. He wasn't. You're right, Chris. He was talking about all peoples being equal. Bring him into this word. Wow. But y'all want to waste time on social media on some dumb stuff. So then we talked about how Yahweh Shua broke it down further. It says, Selah, your father was Yonah. Your name is Selah ben Yonah. And we know who Jonah was. Jonah went to Nineveh. Unkosher people. That was back in what y'all call the Old Testament. So it was always meant to be that way. It was not. This is not a new thing Yahshua was bringing down. It's just that it was a revelation to what he's been telling you way back when you call the Old Testament. That this man came out of a fish from the water and went to the Goyim and didn't tell him stop eating crab cakes. He said repent. But here you are waking up today. I got people always trying to hit me up, try to teach me stuff about the law and don't know jack. You didn't learn up till you got your smartphone and you put your 2 dumb thumbs on your smartphone and going to try to teach your brothers. Been doing this for more than 2 scores. A score is 20 years. I got more than 2 scores in on this. I had to do real research. I had to sit on my butt in my mother's basement with my thumbs and thought I knew something and learned and try to teach somebody some stuff. That's not the way you're supposed to do it. You got to interview some people. You got to go to some places. You got to get in an airplane and fly somewhere and do some stuff. You got to physically dig up some stuff. You got to go to the library. You have to really look up some stuff. That's what I had to do to learn something. That way I can teach it. Me Ata Omer Shani. Who do you say I am? So Yahweh is not teaching secretariat. What you call it? I don't know the word. Secretary. How you say secretarianism? Division. Whatever. Okay, division. I know that word. He was teaching unity is unity in him. I do not believe this is the epicenter of emet, of truth, Yahweh for Hebrews and Christians. But I do know that we teach the unleavened word of Yahweh Shua HaMashiach. And if your camp teaches that, then we are in good stead. So now we've talked about Yahweh Shua had to step up a notch because the disciples, handpicked by his father, Yahweh, it was just a hot mess. A hot mess. Not getting it. So finally in Matthew 16, 21 and 23, he's told them straight up, I'm going to die. I know y'all arguing and fighting about who's going to be the man next to me and who's going to, and how y'all going to kick Roman butt and pick it up and all that kind of dumb stuff. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Selah, who you call Peter, try to call himself correcting Yahweh Shua. No, it's not going to be. Nope. We're going to arm up. We're going to put on the whole armor of Yah. And we're going to turn this thing right side up. That's not the plan. That's not the way it was supposed to be. And today, in what they call the 13th of August, 2023, y'all still hating the Jew man, hating the white man, think y'all going to overthrow some stuff and with all y'all 666 beastly commandments. Wake up. Yisrael. Brother, Mark 9, 14 to 29. Here's our signature scripture for today. Mark 9, 14 to 29. And this is about the boy that was healed. Minute 49, 25.
And when he came to the disciples, he saw a great multitude around them, and scribes disputing with them. Immediately, when they saw him, all the people were greatly amazed, and running to him, greeted him. And he asked the scribes,
What are you discussing with them?
Then one of the crowd answered,
Teacher, I brought you my son, who has a mute spirit, and wherever it seizes him, it throws him down. He foams at the mouth, gnashes his teeth, and becomes rigid. So I spoke to your disciples that they should cast it out, but they could not.
O faithless generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I bear with you? Bring him to me.
Then they brought him to him, and when he saw him, immediately the spirit convulsed him, and he fell on the ground and wallowed, foaming at the mouth.
How long has this been happening to him?
From childhood, and often he has thrown him both into the fire and into the water to destroy him. But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us.
If you can believe, all things are possible to him who believes.
Immediately, the father of the child cried out and said with tears,
Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief.
When Jesus saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the unclean spirit.
Deaf and dumb spirit, I command you, come out of him, and enter him no more.
Then the spirit cried out, convulsed him greatly, and came out of him. And he became as one dead, so that many said,
He is dead.
But Jesus took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. And when he had come into the house, his disciples asked him privately,
Why could we not cast it out?
This kind can come out by nothing but prayer and fasting.
Wow. Now, the reason why we wanted to highlight that is because this is just like the last miracle he did when he gave the blind man his sight. The man was born blind. There was more. There was a lot going on there. So look at the last two episodes of Yahweh for Hebrews and Christians and get that, and showing that it was a two-part application to understanding Yahweh Shua. He had his box understanding, and Yahweh Shua showed him from Hashemaim. This was how he looked. But then he saw clearly, the record says, he saw Yahweh Shua as he was. This man about 5'9", bent over, albino. Very unimpressive. He said, what? This is the eternal one? So here we got something going on too. Now, there's a lot going on that you really are probably missing. Once again, this is in the third year of Yahweh Shua's ministry. The scribes and Pharisees are keep trying to trip this man up. Keep trying to bring difficult cases to him to have him fail. They stirred up the people. They were arguing with the disciples. That's another thing. You got the truth, arguing with no one. The disciples arguing back and forth with them. Well, we did do it. Well, because the thing about this demon, if you look at it, it says it wouldn't leave. But then what would it do? Come right back. So the disciples, here they are. Disciples means these were students of Yahweh Shua, the teacher, right? They're right under him. And they still, and it was 12 against one demon. They couldn't cast them out. So this is sort of the scribes and Pharisees are trying to say, oh, see, this proves it. There's nothing in that name. This is nothing in that name. This was really going on. And because you see when Yahweh Shua came, he like, hey, what you don't talk to my peeps about? What y'all talking to my men about? What happened? The scribes and Pharisees didn't even respond. They stepped back. The crowd started moving forward to Yahweh Shua. The crowd came forward. Not the scribes and Pharisees. They stirred up some poop and wanted to sit back and watch the Pharisees. He ain't going to get this one out. He ain't going to get this one out. But then we hear the desperation of the father. If you are a parent, you can feel that desperation when about your child. When it's like nothing can be done, you are desperate. You have mothers will lift up a car off their child. You have a father who will swim. My wife, this is a real story, who can't swim, dove into the water to save her daughter, who was drowning. And that's the true story. Woman can't swim. She hadn't been in the pool since then. The only time she get wet, get in the tub. My wife don't like getting. They don't. Africans don't get no water. Right. They don't get no water. She swam that day to save her daughter. True story.
Take a shower.
That's all they want to do. They don't even want to take a bath. Tub. They just shower.
That's too close.
Too close to getting under the water. We don't see. Chris. We have a bad history of water. Transatlantic slave trade. We don't have no good history. We don't have no good history. They throw us in Florida. They throw us in the swamps for the alligators to feed us. In Egypt, throw us in the swamps for the alligators to feed us. You see, we don't have no good history of water. My wife dove in that water. So they tried to. So this father was desperate. What did Yahweh Shua say? Dore, Bawgad, O faithless generation. How long do I have to remain with you? I can't go away for a minute. I can't take a bite to eat. If I go to the bathroom, I can't take a leak. Try to take a little sleep in the bottom of the boat, y'all. Oh, faithless generation. Bring them over here to me. So, once evil comes close to righteousness, it's going to show out. It's going to expose itself. Righteousness exposes evil. And what happened? The man started convulsing and acting out. He started doing the thing, doing what the demon does to him. Started convulsing and jumping and flipping and convulsing. I don't know, it didn't say his head was spinning, but you get the picture. Why? Because it was come up against righteousness. So what happened? Yahweh Shua asked, well, how long has this been going on? He already knows the answers. He's trying to pull out. Once again, just like with the blind man, Yahushua is being very personal and intimate with the person. He's engaging the father who's desperate to speak with him about what's going on here. He says this has been going on since he's been a youth. But your disciples couldn't do it. Your disciples, well, anything is possible if you believe. Do you believe? Let me tell you this. Do not come to your pastor, or whoever you call him, to heal you of something if you don't believe. It is impossible to be healed or fixed or anything to be, any prayer to be answered if you don't believe it. It's not going to happen. It's not the pastor's fault if you're not healed and you come to him and don't believe. You have to believe in the middle of your heart that he is real and he is a rewarder of those who seek him. That he is a very present help in the time of danger. But yes, because we are so used to being disappointed and falling short, the man says, I believe. And in the same breath, he said, help my unbelief. Wow. That was confession. And it was, I'm trying to think of another word. It was profession and confession. He professed Yahushua in his belief, and then he confessed that, you know what, I still need a little more belief. I still got a little latent of unbelief in me. Yahushua heard his heart, heard the unspoken prayer, and he gave. When we talk what the word heart means, he strengthened the man's heart to believe. At that moment. So at that time, only at that time, remember when he raised the dead girl, he put out all the unbelievers from the house. Those who mocked him and chastised him and laughed at him. He put them out of the house. And he kept only the mother and father in there who believed. Put them all out of the house. You're not going to have unbelief around you while you're doing the miracle. You don't believe, then you going over there somewhere. Have a good day. And I mean every minute of whatever word good. I know where the word good comes from. And then he woke the girl up. Because he said she was only sleeping and they laughed at her. So right here, again, the scribes and Pharisees aren't even there. They're in the background looking, taking notes. Oh, we got him. And then, as a matter of fact, you can tell he took the father aside because if you listen to the narrative, the crowd had to come back together again. So he really wanted to heal the boy before the crowd came back. They were scattered when they saw the demons convulsing in them again. It was a scary sight. This was a scary sight we're looking at here. Well, of course, we know the man, Yahushua HaMashiach, rebuked the demon. So the disciples like, wait a minute. We did the same thing you did. We called on your name. We were there. We said the right words. We said the script. We did the lines. And there was 12 of us. What's up, man? Why could we do it? Prayer and fasting. See, they're too busy getting 3 squares and a cot every day under the shadow of Yahushua's ministry. They ain't miss no meals. And they ain't miss no sleep. And so it's nothing wrong. Even Yahushua said himself that when the groom is with the bride, she's not going to fast. So it's not like they sinned for not fasting. It's when the groom is away that you fast. Yahushua said that himself. Nevertheless, still, they didn't do all-night prayers like Yahushua did. They didn't have all-night prayer vigils. Yahushua would go to that almond tree or wherever he could go and pray all night, and then into the morning come down from the mountain, and they right there at the foot of the mountain waiting to tax him again, waiting to drain off him again, waiting to sponge off him again. Everybody just wait. Man was up all night long. The disciples don't have a record of praying all night long. They can't even stay awake an hour. You see at the end, they couldn't even stay awake an hour. When it's bedtime, they ready to go to sleep, just like you and me. So prayer and fasting sometimes is in order to get a breakthrough. To get a breakthrough, yeah, you believe. Ask Yahweh to help you from your unbelief. Sometimes turn the sheets down from your wife. Sometimes turn the plate down from your stomach. And get in there. Roll your sleeves up and get in there with Yahushua. What did he say? Let me go to Matthew, read this myself. Matthew 17, 19 to 21. I want to read this one. And then you'll get the next one. And it reads, Then the disciples came to Yahweh privately and said, Why could we not cast it out? Yahweh said to them, Because of your unbelief. For surely I say to you, if you have the faith as a mustard seed, and you will say to this mountain, Move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you. So he doesn't not talk about a literal mountain, because for what need do you have to move a physical mountain? Really, what practical need do you have to move a mountain? If you got to get to the other side, you can just transport, like you say, beam me up sky to get to the other side. He's not talking about that. He's talking about this demon right here was a stronghold. This was a port. This was a like, and mountains are governments. Throughout the scriptures, mountains are symbols of governments. So out of your mouth, out of your faithful heart, you can bring down governments. You can move strongholds of law, strengthening of evil, wickedness. You can have the strength to move this. This is what he's talking about. He's not talking about a literal mountain. And all you need is, and the mustard seed is small. And this demon, he would leave and come. That's why Yahweh says, leave him and don't come back. He gave it a two-part order. Just like the previous miracle with the blind man, it was done in two parts. First, the man saw Yahweh in Hashemayim with his malachim, his angels. Then he saw Yahweh on earth, how he looks on earth clearly. It was two parts. He took mud, he spat on it, he put it in his eyes. He did two parts for that miracle. It was two parts of this one. Come out, okay, get out. Okay, that's one part. And he said, don't come back. And he didn't do that for any other demons, nor the demons that he said that to. He just said, get out, and they didn't come back anyway. This was a different, this one was a mountain. This demon was a mountain. You want to move strongholds like that, you're going to need to pray and fast. You need all the ingredients. Fast from food, fast from your wife, and you need prayer. You need all the ingredients to get out some of these things that we got working against us. All right, my brother, go to Mark 9, 30 to 32.
Then they departed from there and passed through Galilee, and he did not want anyone to know him. For he taught his disciples and said to them,
The Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of men, and they will kill him. And after he is killed, he will rise the third day.
But they did not understand this saying, and were afraid to ask him. Then he came to them.
He said it again straight up. I mean, it's like I'm saying right now, I'm speaking clear English. I'm speaking straight up Hebrew. I am going to be killed. I'm going to be betrayed. Well, you look around, who can betray him? And he said it again, point blank, straight up. And they didn't get it. Why? Because they were recalcitrant in their ideology. Like the man on social media I had to correct. Yeah, he can go ahead and go around naked and say it's okay. Like the ones that had to go on social media last month. Yeah, you can go ahead and let a family, a woman with a child in her womb, a child on her hip, and a child in her hand, and you're going to say they're going to go hungry because you don't want to give them pork bologna. And you saying that's righteous. That's being recalcitrant in your calcified, boxed understanding of the Besor, of the reality of Yahweh Shua, of who he is and what he came here to do, and what you are supposed to do. And what you're saying is, go back to the desert of 666 commandments. That's what you're saying. And you're calcified in that position. And you can't be moved from it. Because the heart needs to be circumcised. Your heart needs to be circumcised to believe what this man is laying down. He's telling them right to their faces, looking at them and saying out of his mouth, and they still don't get it. But they still think that it has to be done the way they think it has to be done. And you're still proselytizing people in the way you say it must be done. You must be circumcised. and put down the crab cakes. That's what you're saying. In order to be saved. That's laughable. That's the biggest joke. What? That's what it takes? So is that what the murderer on the right of Yahweh Shua did on the tree? Did he get down from that tree and start keeping Shabbat? Did he get down off that tree and start keeping the feast days? Did he get down from that tree and start and wearing seats? He was saved from that moment of his faith. On the tree, he testified to the murder on the left of Yahweh Shua, and he died at the end. How about babies who die, young children who die, who don't get a chance to do all that stuff? How about in utero, abortions? Salvation cannot be dictated by something that you do or don't do. In terms of your resume, it is simple. Profess that Yahweh Shua is HaMashiach. That is the unifying salvation cry. Confess in his name shamelessly, and then he will shamelessly confess you to his Father. They didn't get it. They didn't get it. Brother man, give me Matthew 17, 24 to 27. Let's do it.
When they had come to Capernaum, those who received the temple tax came to Peter.
Does your teacher not pay the temple tax?
Yes. And when he had come into the house, Jesus anticipated him.
What do you think, Simon? From whom do the kings of the earth take customs or taxes? From their sons? Or from strangers?
From strangers.
Then the sons are free. Nevertheless, lest we offend them, go to the sea, cast in a hook, and take the fish that comes up first. And when you have opened its mouth, you will find a piece of money. Take that and give it to them, for me and you.
I like how they put a little laugh at the end. So-called Peter, he pays the tax. He know good well Yahweh Shua never paid no tax, no temple tax. But Yahweh Shua said, you know what? I haven't died yet. So we still under Moshe. Still, at that time, access to his Father was via the temple. As such, there was a temple tax that was instigated. Now, you can get this as a half shekel, and it was instituted. You can read it in Exodus 30, 11 to 16. I wonder if I should try to go ahead and read that. I don't want to lose time. But this is meaningful. This is, Yahweh doesn't do anything lightly. But Exodus 30, let me go ahead. I think I will try to read that real quick. I wasn't planning on it. But this is one of the 600 plus commandments that you're supposed to keep. Now, how are you going to do that today? Huh? So are you going to still be able to make it into heaven and you can't pay the temple tax and you ain't got no temple? So go to Exodus 30, 11 through 16, and it reads, Then Yahweh spoke to Moshe, saying, When you take the census of the children of Israel for their number, then every man will give a ransom for himself to Yahweh. When you number them, that there may be no plague among them when you number them. No plague. This is what everyone among those who are numbered will give. Now key, among those who are numbered. That means everyone's not numbered. Those who are not numbered are the remnant. No women, no children, nobody over warring age. Okay? That's why it says everyone that is to be numbered. That who are to be numbered. Half a shekel according to the shekel of the sanctuary. The shekel is 20 gerahs. The half shekel shall be an offering to Yahweh. Everyone included among them those who are numbered. Those who are numbered. So that means not everybody. Only the men of warring age. Here we go right here. From 20 years old and above, all give an offering to Yahweh. There it goes right there. I didn't you know it's going to say that. Then the rich will not give more, and the poor will not give less than half a shekel, when you give an offering to Yahweh to make atonement for yourselves. So no matter whether you're a billionaire, millionaire, or unemployed, you got to pay the same amount. Why? Because we are all equal in our offense against Yahweh. We've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of Yahweh. And whether you did 10 sins or one, that one will keep you out of the kingdom. Unless you do what? Accept Yahweh Shua HaMashiach. So this temple tax, which is at that time was the only way you have access to Yahweh, speaks to several things. It speaks to who Yahweh's people are. It also speaks to the remnant. And then three things. It also speaks to who's not Yahweh's people. You're not paying that temple tax. It's because you are of the world. You're not of Yahweh's covenanted peoples. And then if you're not counted, it's because you're part of the remnant. The remnant are women, children, and men over warring age. That's the remnant. And think about that when you come to the last days and Revelations and all that stuff. So what else we got going on here? We got about numbering. Well, he said if you don't do this, there's going to be a plague. Yahweh's going to kill people. Wow, that's deep. There's something going on here that you're probably missing about this numbering and killing people if you're not numbered, or if it's not numbered the proper way. And that is this. Let me go to 1 Chronicles 21, 1 through 6 to see if you can get this. 1 Chronicles 21, 1 through 6. And it happened in the spring of the year, at the time kings go out to war. Let me see if I'm reading the right thing here. Oh, that's 21. Okay. Now, Satan stood up against Yisrael and moved Dawid to number Yisrael. You hear that? Satan just popped up. You know, remember, he has the right to do that because this is his domain. Just like he did with Job. Just popped up, right? By the way, I told you he did the same thing behind Abraham when he was getting ready to sacrifice Yitzhak. He just popped up. So, also, in Zacharias, you see Satan pops up. He can do that. This is his domain down here. So, he just pops up. And he persuades Dawid to number Yisrael. It's right here in 1 Chronicles chapter 21. And starting from verse 1. And so Dawid said to Joab and to the leaders of the people, go, number Yisrael from Beersheba to Dan, and bring the number of them to me, that I may know it. Why? So he can know what it is. And Joab answered, may Yahweh make his people 100 times more than they are. But my master, the king, Adonai, are they not all Adonai's servants? Why then does my master require this thing? Why should he be a cause of guilt in Israel? Joab said this, and Joab was a murdering man. I don't think in this book anybody killed more people than what you call Joab. If you look at his resume, I don't think no one in the book from cover to cover killed as many people as he has. And he's like, you sure you want to do this? Because what does he say himself? You're going to cause guilt to be on Israel. So what's going on? There's something about this numbering. Let me just tell you what it is. Genesis 22, 15 through 18. There's many scriptures, but let me just read this one. Genesis 22, 15 to 18. And we know what happened. After the numbering of this, there was a plague that broke out. Did he just say, if you don't pay the temple tax, you get a plague? Well, a plague rang out. For I think it was 3 days. It was 3 days plague. Scores of Hebrews died. Let's read, I'm going to read Genesis 22, 15 to 18. And it reads, then the Malach of Yahweh, that's Yahweh Shua, called to Abraham a second time out of Hashemaim and said, by myself I have sworn, says Yahweh, because you have done this thing. This is after the sacrifice of his son. He would have sacrificed, but he didn't have to sacrifice him. And have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessing, I will bless you, and multiplying, I will multiply your descendants. As the stars of Hashmaim, and as the sand which is on the seashore, and your descendants will possess the gate of their enemies. In your seed, all nations will be blessed, because you have obeyed the voice, and so forth and so on. Now, question. Look up into the sky tonight. Tell me if you can number all those stars. Go on out to the beach this week. Go on out to this beach right now and see if you can number the sand. Go ahead and do it. Tell me, can it be done? If the answer is yes, that means you are equal to Yahweh. Did you get it? I just taught you something here deep. This was a sin of Dawid. Everybody wants to go in and blast Dawid for having sex with Bathsheba, having her husband killed and all that stuff. Yes, it was a sin. I keep telling you though, he sinned. This sin was no different than what Jacob did. When Jacob tricked his brother out of his birthright. Jacob got what he was supposed to have, but he took it in the wrong way. This sin was no different than what Abraham did when he slept with the Egyptian woman and made Ishmael. That was not the promised seed. Ishmael ended up having a kingdom. It was a kingdom. He had 12 sons, 12 princes, but that was not supposed to be the chosen one. Dawid was supposed to have Bathsheba. Her name means daughter of the promise. We know that Shlomo came through there. And if you go through Matthew and Luke's genealogy of the Messiah, we see that Bathsheba was part of that lineage. So yes, he was supposed to have her, but he went about it the wrong way. He was not supposed to do any of that. That was supposed to be Yahweh's doing something, however it was supposed to work. He was not supposed to have sex with a married woman. He was not supposed to kill her husband. But his greatest sin was this one. Because at least that other sin, he was a little bit younger. He was like 50 years old. Here he's older. He's supposed to have more wisdom. And his greatest sin was this, because this sin says, because he even says, so I can know what the number is. What he's doing is equating himself to Yahweh. Only Yahweh knows the answer to that number. Even Yahweh himself says it's not in his authority to say who goes in and who stays out. Yahweh himself said that. Only Yahweh knows the number. He's the only one. And if you know it, that means you equal to him. That was the sin. And it was the greatest sin a person can do, is make himself equal to Yahweh. So we got here this temple tax being collected. Now you've gotten a deeper understanding. This temple tax is being collected because Yahweh knows the number of his people. And it is him who knows the number of his people is going to determine when his son returns to gather us together. But only he knows. So you keep on making your babies, because that baby, if he had came in 1960, then you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have made it. If he came in 1952, your mother wouldn't make it. 1930, then your grandmother would make it. You know, whatever date he came that's not now, a lot of people who would be in wouldn't be there. He's going to come when his number, when that specific number that he has in his heart is here. And that's part of what this temple tax is about. And we see here, Yahweh says, you know what, so we ain't going to offend them. Yeah, go ahead. Now, how did the temple tax get paid? Via the fish. What did Yahweh show us? What is your symbol of Christianity? The cross and the fish. The cross, those are two symbols. The cross, and they put them together. They have a fish and a cross inside of it. What did Yahweh said about? He said this. Why did he 11? Well, maybe not 11. I think 8 of the 12 disciples were fishermen. He said, "I'm going to teach you how to be fishers of what? Not of fish." Thank you. Chris said of men. He knows that. Yahweh said, "I'm going to teach you to be fishers of men." What did he say that his his called out was going to do? They're going to proliferate like fish. Where did Jonah come out of when he went to the Goyim, the nations? He came out of a fish. Are you seeing the connection here about fish? The only flesh recorded in the word that Yahweh ate was fish. We don't have no record of him eating steak. That's kosher, but he never ate it. We have no record of him eating lamb or goat. It's all fine. He never eat no deer. You have no record of Yahweh eating anything else other than bread and fish and drinking water. That's it. You don't have no record of eating anything else. Fish represents his people in the latter days, proliferate like fish, like the sands of the seas, like the stars of the skies, going out to the whole world, bringing them all. What? Bring your net, your drag net, bring them in to Yahweh Shua. Bring them into the boat, bring them into the ark. The ark is Yahweh Shua. There's only one way to be saved is in the ark. In the time of Noah, if you was going to be saved, you would have to be in the ark. There was no such thing as salvation outside of the ark. The ark was Yahweh Shua. And then today is the same thing. Your job is to go out and bring them in the net and bring them into the boat, the ark of Yahweh Shua. So we're out living like fish. That's why we're not to segment ourselves because somebody's not black. What's black Hebrew Israelite? There's nowhere in the Bible where Yahweh identifies people as black. Nowhere. Nowhere. You're not identified by the machinations of your so-called skin color. The melanin content of your skin. That's why Yahweh Shua came out albino. He's a brother, but an albino brother. Now, so we see the deeper understanding of this temple tax thing. Once again, the scribes and Pharisees will not let this brother go. They're trying to trick him up in every way. Does he pay the tax? That's the law of Moses. Does he pay the tax? He's like, yeah, he pays. Yeah, he pays. He know Yahweh Shua ain't never paid up. He paid it that day for only one reason. See, so we want to go in and thin them because right now you're still under Moshe. And here's another thing you probably missed. He said of the fish that was going to come up. That means a whole lot of fish were there wanting to go in and open their mouth up and pay that money for him. But who you call Peter took up the first one that he could get his hand to. And he paid not just for Yahweh Shua, he paid for himself. Again, the lesson here is we're all equal. Again, the deeper lesson here, another deeper lesson is Yahweh Shua showed himself to be a sinner. So he paid, showing that he says, yes, remember, we know he did no sin. That's why he rose after the third day. But he's being accused as a sinner by him paying that temple tax. He made him equal with Selah, made him equal with Peter. Equal in paying the tax, identifying yourself with Yahweh, and needing to be reconciled to Yahweh. Meaning you're guilty. Yahweh Shua says, I am guilty. So when you pay that, shows he's saying that he's guilty, just like so-called Peter's guilty. He made himself equal to us. That is touching in your heart, that he would humble himself like that and pay that tax. He didn't have to pay no tax. He never sinned. He didn't do anything wrong. He paid the tax. Out of a fish, which now you have a deeper understanding of it. And he paid it with Peter's tax, showing that he is equal to him. You gotta love this man to humble himself like that, come down to this earth, put on flesh, have to eat like you do, get tired like you do, get thirsty like you do. He was tempted, the book of Hebrews says, in every point like we were. Women came all up in his face, in his space, and in his place, trying to get with him. All of that. Everything you went through, he did. Otherwise, it'd be not fair. No, you only made it because you came from heaven. That's not fair. Then it would be illegitimate salvation. No, he warned. That's why. Another thing you may have missed when he wrestled with Jacob. He put on flesh, and there was a stalemate. He didn't overcome Jacob, and Jacob couldn't overcome him. He put on flesh when he wrestled with him. Jacob knew he was wrestling with once Yahweh Shua touched his thigh and put it out of socket. Oh, wait a minute. This ain't no regular man. So y'all should let him know, okay, all right, stalemate. But just so you know who I am, Bad Al. Touched that hip, made him limp like a brother now. That's why we got Al limp. And when he came in to us, he had the same limp. Man, y'all better listen to this broadcast every week. So now, my man, Chris, get me Mark 9, 33 to 37.
Praise.
Were afraid to ask him. Then he came to Capernaum, and when he was in the house, he asked them,
What was it you disputed among yourselves on the road?
but they kept silent. For on the road they had disputed among themselves who would be the greatest. And he sat down, called the 12, and said to them,
If anyone desires to be first, he shall be last of all, and servant of all.
Then he took a little child and set him in the midst of them. And when he had taken him in his arms,
Whoever receives one of these little children in my name receives me, and whoever receives me receives not me, but him who sent me.
Teacher.
Now you know how mom come home a little bit earlier than you thought, and then you was eating something you supposed to have, and you didn't do your homework, the book's over there, and the bed's still not made up. And she come and say, "What you doing?" You look at mouth full of cookies, something in your mouth, and you look, no. That's how the disciples got caught. He come there, "What y'all talking about?" They just looked at him. Didn't answer because they know they was wrong. Over there arguing about who's going to be the man. When the teacher just told them not once but twice. He told them many times. But point blank, they going to kill me. Can you imagine your death is in front of you? What pain Yahshua was going through in his heart? And y'all arguing about who's going to be the man in the kingdom. There ain't going to be no kingdom here on this earth in your time. And y'all talking about who's going to be the man in the kingdom. It ain't going to be here. I'm going to die. Y'all talking about who's going to be the man. That's why they didn't respond to him. Man, what's wrong with us? We going to keep those commands no matter what the Torah says. We're going to make Yahshua be who we want him to be no matter what. You're going to be the man I want you to be like I think you're supposed to be. No matter what. That's what we do. So he had to go and pull a child up. Because a child just tells the truth and they see things as they are. That's why you got to watch what you say around children. Because they go and say, right, you done said some stuff that you don't want nobody to hear. And now a child, they're saying stuff to you, to the people. And oh, this is the fat lady you was talking about, Dad? What? I said, yeah, this is the one you said was fat. But child being innocent. They ain't trying to drop no dime on you. It's, Ew, Mommy said you don't cook, not to eat your food because you don't know how to cook. No, eat the macaroni and cheese, boy. But you said you don't know how to cook. She don't know how to cook. I'm telling you. Just be innocent, speak the truth, and receive whatever it is. That's why you need to speak the truth. And he always should only spoke truth to them. Why are they arguing about who's going to be the boss? Stirring the sauce. Why are you trying to be the boss? Who's the servant? Once again, Yahweh sure you gotta love this man. He's the one that washed their feet. Who's the greatest in the house? The parents or the children? Who's the greatest in the house? The parents or the children? The parents are the greatest, he said. But who's going to work? The parents or the children? Who's paying the bills? The parents or the children? Who's cooking the food? The parents or the children? Who's taking the children to the hospital? Who's doing all the work? The parents. But they're the greatest. But they doing all the serving. So the greatest is doing all the serving. So why are you trying to be the greatest? You need to learn how to serve. If you want to be so great, then serve. Because our job as parents is to teach our children not to need us. Not to have them 25, 35, 40, still in your basement, still needing you, taking care of grandbabies. It's they serve you. They feed you a fish so you can learn how to fish. That's our job. To teach you independence. But they first serve you. So you can learn how to serve. We're out of time. So, but James says in James 4:6, Yahweh resist the proud. You want to get a prayer through, other than fasting and praying hard, you need to be humble. You need to be humble. Go ahead, brother. Give us our last one. Mark 9:38-41.
We saw someone who does not follow us casting out demons in your name, and we forbade him because he does not follow us.
Do not forbid him. For no one who works a miracle in my name can soon afterwards speak evil of me. For he who is not against us is on our side. For whoever gives you a cup of water to drink in my name, because you belong to Christ, assuredly I say to you, he will by no means lose his reward.
Wow, I just caught on something just now, and it's I'm writing it down so I won't forget. Look at this. Now, remember, we started off the disciples arguing with the scribes and Pharisees in the crowd. Why? Because 12 of them against one. If you had 12 guys on a basketball court against one, who you think going to win? And they couldn't cast out that demon. Now here they are rebuking some other people who are doing what? Casting out demons in their teacher's name. Ha! I just caught on to that one. Well, the superficial message is, or hey, listen, don't rebuke them. They're not saying anything against me. Remember, the unifying doctrine is Yahweh. Let's not segment ourselves with other things. He's the unifier. They weren't following them, but they was using their teacher's name to do what? Miracles and cast out demons. Guess what? They couldn't even cast out demons. I just caught on to that one. In the beginning of this broadcast, you see how they failed to cast out demons. Now they're going to rebuke some other people who are doing just what they couldn't do because they weren't with them. Well, if they were with you, they'll be blockheads just like you are. There will be blockheads not getting it. Not getting it just like you don't get it. Crying because the waves are coming and the rain is coming. When you turn around, you got 12 baskets of bread and fish right in the boat with you. That proves to you that Yahweh is with you. Stop the rain from coming down. Stop the waves, but you don't have faith. Make the blind man see, but you don't have faith. Make the mute man speak, but you don't have faith. Cast out the demons, but you don't have faith. You're going to rebuke somebody else. And we're still doing it today. Because you're still trying to make your Lord God Jesus Christ, Jehovah Sweet Jesus, or Yeshua, whoever you call him, be who you say he is, instead of what we're doing here in this series, B'milotar, in his own words. In his own words. This is what this series is about. You should know it. Hopefully we'll have it done by Tabernacles, I believe. Of what who this man is. Who do you say he is? Say who he is, who he say he is, the Son of Man of Yahweh. Alright, go ahead and take us out with Alan Watts. And until next week, Shalom Aleichem, peace be on you. Subscribe to the channel.
Muslims believe that the Quran is divinely inspired, and some Buddhists believe that their sutras are also of divine, or rather a Buddhic origin. The Japanese believe that the ancient texts of Shinto are likewise of divine origin. And who is to be judged? So if the church says the Bible is true, it finally comes down to you. Are you going to believe the church or aren't you? So really, I won't deny anybody's right to hold these opinions. You may indeed believe that the Bible is literally true and that it was actually dictated by God to Moses and the prophets and the apostles. But that may be your opinion, and you are at liberty to hold it. I don't agree with you. I do believe, on the other hand, that there is a sense in which the Bible is divinely inspired. But since inspiration always comes through a human vehicle, it is liable to be distorted by that vehicle. In other words, I'm talking to you through a sound system. And it's the only one now available. Now, if there's something wrong with this sound system, whatever truths I might utter to you will be distorted. My voice will be...
The preceding